All right, people. How we doing? We got two in the chat. So what we'll do is we'll just give it a minute or two. Let me know in the chat that everything is sounding okay. Got a better setup tonight, a bit more professional, trying to improve all the time for you so that you have a better experience. And we definitely have an interesting show tonight, an interesting stream which will dive deep into hey, Spiral Mass, everything sounds good. Good evening to you, Ihawa. Well, that's good night, isn't it? But what else? What is good evening in Osquilga? Someone tell me. Kim Kelly, hello, you sound great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And I am glad it's looking a bit better as well. I got the whole HDMI setup done so that we have a better resolution for the camera, better microphone, and this is going to be really probably the best looking stream that I've done so far. I don't know how I don't know how is the actual stream going to turn out because nobody ever knows which streams, but I'm going to do my best. Now, I have a formatted show, but you're more than welcome to get into the chat and you're more than welcome to contribute. If you want to send some super chats, I would really appreciate it. That all really helps, incentivizes me to continue with these. But you're more than welcome to just chat away. Absolutely. But I do have a format, I have a presentation because I'm going into, I think, 5. Tranonawa, exactly. There you go. Peter from across the seas. Tranonawa. Good evening. And you're more than welcome. Falcha Arash. Falcha Arish. Welcome back. For anybody that was here before. Peter has been here before. Thank you so much, Peter. Goramela Mahagotakara for that. It kind of slipped from my mind there. Tranonawa. So anyway, here we are. Tonight I'm going to talk about places that I believe are unbelievably haunted. Like, I mean, rife with supernatural activity. Okay, the thing I want to get across in the beginning is this. When I say a place is haunted and there's a lot of supernatural activities, I know there's a lot of people that doubt that, right? I get that. I understand. Like, that's fine. But let's look at it like a little bit of entertainment for Halloween. I'm 100% serious about all of this, but you don't need to take it that seriously. I'm not trying to convince you that this is real, but I am telling you about the history, about the stories, about my personal experiences, and about the experiences that I've heard as well. I have 5 locations, right? And these aren't necessarily the locations that you'll see on the top 10 most haunted places, right? Because I wanted to give the the ones that I visited personally, I wanted to give them first. And maybe I'll go on and do another live stream where I talk about other ones that may be more evil, a bit more poltergeist activity. But there are certainly places on here that have dark histories, that have dark entities and stuff like that going on with them. But there are other ones that aren't necessarily as dark. So that's the way I'm going to go through it. Now, there are some as well where I actually have pictures of me in these locations, but there were some that I couldn't find the ones because they was around 10 years ago when I was there. But I did my best. I couldn't find them. They're deep in the hard drives and stuff like that. So I couldn't find them. But I do have evidence of me being in the other places. But I can assure you that every place that I talk about tonight, I have been. So without further ado, if anybody is in the chat that just wants to say hello, that wants to just make their presence known, if there's anybody that can hear me tonight, I'm here with my EVP. I'm calling out to my people in the chat. Can you hear me? Can you knock in the chat box there that you are here? Can you make your presence known to me by saying hello, by saying hi, by saying konnichiwa to Akara, Tom Gama Akara? Let me know in the chat and then we'll get started that everybody is here and ready. Excellent. Oh, Spiral Moss. That is interesting. That is interesting. I thought you were all right. You literally came in and said everything sounds good, and then you're throwing in an all insult there. Interesting. And I think I know you as well. That's going to be an interesting one. 1 second there now. And your picture and all is up there. That is an interesting one, Spiral Moss. Fair play to you. Let's have a look at you. Oh, you got to give it to the people out there in the world. Thank you so much. Spiral Moss is about to get blocked there in a second. I just want to see who they are first. And I thought they were all right. I don't get it, Spiral Moss. You're confusing me now. I thought you were calling me a bellend. What? I think I know you as well. Like, so I don't know what you're confusing me. Ah, but why did you say sound as a bell? Because you do. It looks like you're saying sound like a bellend. Ah, okay. I was wondering because I was actually quite. I was like confused. I was like, what? I thought this person was all right. Anyway, we got some action now in the chat. We've already gotten some controversy on this live stream because we want controversy. We're starting a beef here. That's what all these streamers do, is they start beefing. You know what I mean? Because that's what we're doing. Actually, me and Spiral Moss, we created this dramatic event because we want this to go viral. Not that anybody gives a shit. But anyway, let's move on. Okay, let me get the presentation. Spiral Moss, glad you're here. Glad you're all right, and I'm glad that one of us sounds as sound as a bell, or at least two of us are, and none of us are bellends. See, there's Marco Wild. Okay, yeah, here we go. So we got another beef going here now. Marco Wild, still asleep. I'm actually up since what time did I get up this morning? I got up 7:45, and I was doing a lot of activities today. Maybe I'm tired, if anything. I actually, do you know what I read? I read sound like a bellend. That's what I read. Do you know what it is? I'll be honest with you. Whenever you go live on TikTok, you always have people that come in the beginning, and for some reason they kind of like people start the trolls kind of come in at the beginning. But maybe that's not the case on YouTube. Maybe on YouTube people are actually just all right. And I maybe need to start being a bit more trustworthy of the audience, because I know on TikTok you get like a lot of trolls coming in immediately and you kind of have to clear it out and then you can start. But anyway, let's get started. There's actually 16 people here, so let's get the show on the road. So the first, okay, so let me actually go back here now. We're all sound as a bell, so just calm down. Okay. Yeah, hopefully all subs here. Please subscribe if you aren't subscribed already. And if you really want to like delve deep into anything, make sure you send the super chat. Super chat actually does help me a lot, people. Like, you know, anything that because I spent a good few hours yesterday putting together this presentation, a lot of time. So if anyone wants to contribute, I would be more than happy. But if you don't, that's no problem. I'm still here anyway. Ireland's most haunted places. Now, when I say most haunted, you know, these are up there as the most haunted. They're not the ultimate list of all Ireland's most haunted. There actually are a lot more places, but these are, I wanted to include the ones that I have real life stories too, that have a dark history and I have personal experiences. So real life stories, I know people that have actually been here. I know people that actually have had experiences here. There's been paranormal investigations in some of them, and I've actually spoke firsthand with people who've had actually little traumatic situations happening in these places. So I wanted to start with these places, and maybe I'll come on to another live stream and do ones that I haven't visited yet. I've been in all these places. I've spent a lot of time in these actual places as well. In terms of if I've just visited the one time, I spend quite a bit of time at the location. And there are certain places that I've been to several times. And actually, there is a location which I'm starting off with that I've actually shot I was in a music video in it, and I'm going to show you that as well. And actually, I shot a trailer in one of these locations as well. So without further ado, let's get on to the first place. And I promised as well that I wouldn't actually just be talking about the generic places that everybody knows about. Whenever you search on YouTube, you're going to get the same old places over and over, Lep Castle and these ones, which are all absolutely haunted and all that. I'm not doubting that. Um, it's actually just they're a bit overdone. So I wanted to do ones that you might not never have heard of. You may have well heard of them, but I wanted to make sure that I include places that are not on those lists as well. One or two of them are. But anyway, I just want to just check one thing before I continue. We are live people. So okay. Chloe, tea is ready. Let's go. The tea cup on tea is at hand. We're ready to drink some sugary tea, or if not, your weak ass tea without any sort of sugar. Because I love a little bit of sugar, a little bit of honey in mine. So let's get started. The first place is Ballyseedy House Hotel. All right. And this is, let me just so yeah. Ballyseedy House Hotel, which is in Tralee, County Kerry, where I'm from. Of course, I'm going to start with this because this is a place very close to my heart. It actually is literally a stone's throw from my house. When we say a stone's throw, I wouldn't be able to throw a stone that far, but if I was Cuchulainn, maybe I could. It is in a very dark spot as well for numerous reasons. One of those reasons is the Ballyseedy massacre that happened very close by during the Civil War, which was an unbelievable act of a horrific nature in retaliation to deaths that happened, from the anti-treaty side and then the pro-treaty side. They committed a huge. I have to be careful about how I present this as well, but they committed a horrific act here as well. This would have been in the same area as Ballyseedy House Hotel. There's actually woodlands connected to this place as well, where we grew up as kids. We used to spend much time in this place, a lot of time. Always very creepy in the woods there. The woods now have turned into a bit of a walk, which has kind of ruined the woods. To be honest, it's great, but it's not great in one way. When we were growing up, there was no path. You had to go in through farmers' fields and things like that, and it was a very spooky place. The remnants of the older tower houses and stuff in the actual woods there as well. These woods are very ancient woodlands as well. They're like very few left of these deciduous woodlands in Ireland. Ballyseedy is one of those woods. So the whole story is about one of the owners. And the weird thing about this story, now it's not the only story about Ballyseedy House Hotel, but it is a weird one. Let me just see if I can give you a little bit of another pause this. I want to pause that for a second because I don't want to show that yet. Here's a couple of pictures from inside, and I'll tell you what this is all about afterwards. But this is from the inside of Ballyseedy House Hotel. But Hilda Blennerhassett, she was the former owner. So the Blennerhassets would have been the owners of this castle right up until modern times. She died actually in the 1960s, believe it or not. And she's a quote unquote friendly ghost. And she is meant to roam the actual corridors of the castle. And weirdly enough, if you have any sort of knowledge of Ireland at all in any way, you know about the Rose of Tralee. And weirdly enough, the smell of roses follows her around whenever she's seen. And sometimes she's seen wearing a black Victorian dress, right? So the weird thing about that one is that she died very, very recently in the 1960s. So she's like one of those ghosts that is like a new ghost. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird. You know what I mean? If someone dies really like not that long ago and she's there, she's been seen in the window, right? By kids in the orchards, I think it was. There was a story about the kids playing in the orchards like us. but these were the kids of the 70s. They would see her in the window looking out, because she used to actually stand in the same place or sit in the same place and look out over her domain, I guess. And people have seen her in the window. And also, one of the guides and our present management said that they had some sort of experience with her room where she used to actually stay, her actual room, Hilda's room, the lights going on by themselves, being turned off and turning back on again when no one else is in the castle. Every year they do maintenance in the castle. There's been all sorts of activities when this happens. And apparently the smell of roses has been corroborated by many different individuals. I don't know why the roses are connected to her. Maybe she used to have like lots of roses or something. But isn't that really strange? Like the smell of roses appearing out of nowhere and disappearing again. And Tralee town itself synonymous with the Rose of Tralee story and stuff like that. Is there any other one as well about that? Like the thing about Ballyseedy House Hotel, when you go to the bar in the castle, if anyone's in the Tralee area, go to this castle for a cup of tea or a pint or something, or for a bite to eat. It's well worth a visit. Go into the bar and chat to them about the ghost. They'll tell you. They will always tell you the ghost stories, because it's a big selling point for the place. And it is something that has actually worked against them at times as well. One of the management tour guy, I think it's Tim O'Mahony is his name. Forgive me if that's wrong. I think it's on the website. Let me have a look here. Guests have also reported seeing and hearing. No, sorry, 1 second. All patrons who frequent the hotel bar recount memories of their childhoods robbing apples from the castle orchard. They recall catching glimpses of an old woman in a black Victorian dress seen at the upper windows. When she passed away, she was still found wearing the long black dress, but was very tattered and worn, threadbare with age. The rose beds may have gone, but the presence of Hilda's ghost still roams the castle, the last of the Blennerhassett family line. She's the last of the Blennerhassett family line. And obviously the rose beds, she must have been big into the roses, you know. And I think one of the guides was saying that he was telling the story about Hilda, and you know, sometimes they kind of over dramatize the stories. And he said that she died in that room that you're staying in. And this American, I don't think they were a couple, I think they were friends, ended up leaving the room that night, and the people had to actually get them another room in Tralee because they wouldn't stay. And it was all because of the story, like, you know. And no other stuff that happens is that guests have also reported seeing and hearing the spirits of children dressed in period clothing, possibly victims of the Irish famine of the mid-19th century. These unfortunate and somewhat solemn spirits are only seen within the castle itself. You're going to actually hear not a huge amount from me tonight about this, but there is one other location that actually has this as well, around the famine, around the children of the famine and stuff like that, where because children were having such a hard time during the famine, or robbing things or whatever, they were put into jail and stuff. And you can imagine these children, a lot of children would have died on these grounds in these places during this time, and they reckon that these spirits are still lingering on, and it's such a sad, traumatic time. I think there's something to keep in mind, is that with supernatural things, entities, from my research, is it kind of always is something traumatic. Not always, but the reason why some place has negative energy or has this kind of presence about it is because of trauma. This kind of traumatic event or way of passing that has kind of residual energy or kept them stuck to the place. So the children's spirits, I always think to myself, is this something to do with the fact that this was a very traumatic place where these people died and they're still just lingering around because it was so traumatic and it was so tragic and so much energy involved in the situation that they just didn't pass on to the next, you know, phase of evolution in the spiritual world or whatever. I know to some people this might sound like malarkey, but to me it's not. Other unexplained poltergeist type presence have been accounted for here. There's two things I want to finish on with the Ballyseedy house. And before I move on, the chat's very quiet. If you want to just jump in with the chat, it's no problem. I've never been there to Ballyseedy, I would presume. I'm definitely going to go for a coffee the next time I'm down that way. Definitely do. And sorry about the confusion at the beginning there, slogging our spiral moss. Apologies, I just read that wrong. So I'm glad you're still here. Tá Brón Urim for that mistake. Slogging apples. It was the only way to eat an apple back in the day. You don't buy apples, you rob them from orchards. They were the best, and you didn't even wash them. You just ate it. You didn't give a shit. Back in those days, you didn't have bacteria. I'm joking, of course. You did, of course, have bacteria, but for some reason, we didn't get sick that often. Dal Cecile Runo is here. Thank you so much for being here again. Always love your support, and your theory about traumatic deaths and lingering spirit energy is accurate according to parapsychological studies. Well, there you go. There you have it. That's what we're all about. We're all about those studies and research that has actually taken place around ghosts and stuff. You see, the thing I don't like about the way the skeptical mind works, right, is that people, even though they don't believe, have experiences. People that are atheistic don't necessarily have all the answers as to why these phenomena take place. Then you have the skeptics that go in with the technology, infrared cameras, things that can pick up on magnetism, that can pick up on stuff that the human eye can't see. They go in, they capture this, right? I'm always skeptical of the sounds of the voices, right? But of the actual things you can see in the cameras, which a dog can see, human eye can't see. People will still discount this, right? This is what I don't like. I don't like the fact that people are discounting scientific evidence. And it's not all fabricated. Some of it is, but not all of it. It can't be. There's too much of it. So Paranormal Ireland by Dara de, I can't pronounce that second name now, but is a great book about supernatural events in Ireland. Yes, indeed. I know that book, and I am aware of several paranormal investigation groups that are active in the country that are going around to these places and capturing plenty of evidence. And I'm going to get onto that in another location. So the two stories I want to finish up with Ballyseedy. One of them is to do with a former owner. Pretty sure it was an owner / management, right? They were staying in the castle during the maintenance period. They always do this every year. They were staying in the castle with their family. This is actually all documented. It's on the websites and stuff like that, right? So they had their quarters, in the castle. And then one night, when the castle was all locked up, nobody was staying in the castle. Nobody was in the castle. And there was a massive crash, like a loud bang, a door being closed with tremendous force, like almost aggressively. And the person got up, the person that was with his family got up to investigate, because of course you would think straight away someone's burgling my abode, my castle, right? So they got up and they investigated, and there was absolutely, the first thing that they saw was some sort of figure running down the hall, and they said the figure was huge. Now, again, you're thinking this is probably a burglar, right? But the problem was that that thing got away, it left, right? And there was lights on and stuff, but no damage, no forced entry. Everything was locked from the inside. There was absolutely zero tampering with anything in the castle. Why would this person make up the lies? Maybe they want to make up the lies for marketing. I don't see how that story itself would be good for marketing for the castle. It just doesn't seem like a story you'd make up, right? So I believe that story because it leads into another story, which was actually from my father. So before we go on, Spiral Moss, I've seen so much now that I don't even indulge conversation with skeptics anymore. It's their last it's their last. My observation is good enough for me. Exactly. The entirely skeptic mind is a very. I'm skeptical of the entirely skeptic mind, but I'm very skeptical of how their mind is set up. Like I just don't get it. Maybe there's a purpose. I believe in God. I believe in, in creation, and maybe there is a role for those people in society, and they function well to provide this certain role, which is actually necessary for them to have a mind like that. Maybe that's the reason. But if they're taunting other people for believing, if they're putting down other people's beliefs, I don't buy that at all. I think that's a very weird place to be in someone's mind. But God bless them. They're still welcome to come onto the live stream and have a chat with me about it. I had a completely bonkers supernatural experience in London before. This is from Mickey Shit. Oh, Mick, I can't say that. Sorry, I just was about to say that name. In London before, for me, the proof of the supernatural is undeniable. Well, there you go. Leave that in, if you don't mind, after it, you can leave it in the comments and I will reply to it for sure, because it's probably too much to put it in the chat. But if you want to leave in the comments after, Mickey, I would gladly read it. Fate, if you want to give a kind of a brief thing in the chat as well, you're more than welcome to. Peter, fate in the ability that we as humans do not yet understand nor measure everything. Beautifully put. Beautifully put. Science is never fixed. Exactly. Science is an investigation into the natural world. Like it is something that's always evolving and it's always growing and it's always asking questions. So I believe science in the last few years is propagandized for the government's gain. It's not actually science. That's not science. They're taking science, infiltrating science and using it as propaganda and for their own end, for their own ideologies and stuff like that. But the last story about Ballyseedy House Hotel, and actually I will show you a clip from a lovely video. I've credited that as well. But the last story, and then I'll show you the little bits from Ballyseedy and we'll move on to the next location. God, this is actually going on. If I don't get through all the locations tonight, I can come on and do a part 2 because, it is good to delve deep into them. If you have any questions, get into the chat. If anyone wants to contribute, get into super chats. I would love a super chat if possible. If people want to join the YouTube memberships as well and support the channel that way, I would be more than grateful. But if not, no problem. I always have to just make sure I get it out there that it is support for the channel to keep these things going, to constantly improve. The last story, Ballyseedy House Hotel. My father had a security business, but in his early days of being a security guard, he was actually in the base. He was hired to guard the castle with a dog. I believe it was a German Shepherd, or as we call him, Alsatian dog. He was patrolling the castle, and back then there was no built rooms in the basement. There was actually a basement dungeon type area. I don't know if it was an actual dungeon, but it was a basement. Nowadays, there's rooms down there. He actually went down, pitch black down there, and going around with his torch, and he felt. And my father doesn't really believe in the supernatural. This is the thing. This is the thing I find odd about people that don't believe, even though I've been told by many people that they don't believe, but yet they've had supernatural experiences. And for the sake of brevity, my father does have a few other stories, but I'll just keep it to this one for the Ballyseedy House Hotel. He went down into the basement with his dog. He felt a sudden shift in the feeling of the place, and the dog completely stopped, was static, wouldn't move. And he noticed the hair on the back of the dog's back rising up. He said that he didn't do anything other than back out of the basement very slowly when he saw that, because he was scared, like, that unnerved him. He didn't know what it was. There was no sound, but there was something in there. The dog was not reacting to nothing. The dogs don't get scared of the dark. They get scared of something they can see. Peter Whitson with the 10 euros super chat. Peter, you're always a very supportive man of what I'm doing. Goramila Maha Agot Akara. Goramila Maha Agot. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All of these things do help. Peter, you're an absolute star, an absolute legend. Ardfar Mahu Akara. And remember what I said to you before, I'll be taking you on a tour in Dublin when you come over to the shores of Ireland. Oh, then my mother's in the chat. She's listening, or he's listening now. Oh, brilliant stuff. He's listening. Shout out to my father who had the experience in Ballyseedy with the German Shepherd. I'm pretty sure it was, maybe it was Lobo. Maybe it was Ross. I'm pretty sure it was one of those dogs. And he had the experience. I'll just quickly say it again, where in the basement, there was some sort of energy down there, some sort of change of atmosphere. The dog stopped and he had a torch. I believe he had a torch, and the dog wouldn't move. So he looked down, the dog's hair started rising on the back of the dog, and that's always a bad sign. That's never a good sign. If a dog is staring blankly at a wall or something in your apartment, I'm sorry to say, and if it starts barking, I'm sorry to say, but there's something going on in the apartment. Like there is, like, so, you know, I apologize to break that news to you, but there's something going on. Dogs can sense it. They can see. Actually, dogs can sense when you're angry or drunk, or they can sense like if you're off or sick or ill or something's up. They can sense it. They can actually sense things when they're about to happen. Sometimes dogs can even, you know, sense when someone's coming home, when they're still around the corner or something. Like they can sense it. They just have something about it, a sixth sense. It was a frightening experience for Nuala. This was a frightening experience. My dad isn't a guy to get frightened, but I would imagine that it was unnerving, you know. So look, I'm going to move on, and so quickly. I tried to get help my footage of orbs and strange. I'll reach out to paranormal groups, and none of them responded. Sasquatch theory in America was helpful. Yeah, spiral moss. That's actually quite poor that people didn't actually get back to you about that. Kind of bad form, especially if you have footage, you know. They should be a bit more inviting about that. So I'm sorry to hear you're having that experience. Dogs and cats barking or hissing at nothing in the corner, a clear sign. Yeah, cats, of course, as well. I would presume a lot of animals have that. I'm only saying dogs because that's the kind of experience that I've had, you know, or I've at least heard of. So yeah, I would imagine cats are very, very similar. So let me just get this up here. I want to show you something, a little clip from a video, and I'm going to credit this person as well, so don't worry. Here's about Ballyseedy. This is a little story about
Ballyseedy Castle is a luxury 4-star hotel and a popular choice for weddings or those just seeking time out from modern-day stresses.
Can you hear it?
While the magnificent halls and plush rooms may now echo with the sound of chat, music and laughter, the castle has a turbulent history, and it is acknowledged that a few of its earlier guests have yet to check out. The original castle was home to the rebellious Fitzgerald family. The family refused to renounce their Catholic faith or to swear allegiance to the British Crown, and their resilience resulted in a conflict that lasted for 300 years. On the 11th of November 1583...
Just want to quickly check in. Can everybody hear that? I just want to make sure. And a shout out to Spirited Isle, True Irish Ghost Stories YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe because they're doing some good works over there. Because I want to give them a shout out. I just want, because this was a nice little video about it. Just let me know in the comments. You can hear it. Brilliant. My mother was saying as well, I think she's typing on behalf of my father, Arthur Blenna Hassett. He found the grave, the Esquire of Ballyseedy Wood. That is so cool. So the Blenner Hassett family were brilliant. You can all hear it. I'm going to put it back on now. So the Blenner Hassett family. So Hilda was related to Arthur Blenner Hassett, and Hilda is still haunting the castle. Eddie O'Brien, Tom and Shaw, Anish, Goramila Mahagut Takara. Thank you for coming. So let me put on this Spirited Away Spirited Isle, which I think are doing fantastic work. Make sure you give them a follow.
The rebellion was brought to a bloody end when Gerald Fitzgerald, the 16th Earl of Desmond, was beheaded in a nearby wood under the charge of treason. The rebel earl's severed head was later brought to London, where it was displayed on London Bridge as a grim warning to anyone who thought they could disobey the Queen. As a further punishment, the castle and the 3,000 acres of land that surrounded it were taken from the Fitzgerald clan. The property was later granted to Thomas Blennerhassett, and in 1721 the castle was completely rebuilt. Although renovated and extended by subsequent owners, it is this 18th century incarnation of the castle that stands today. The nominal rent that was agreed for the lease of the land famously included the requirement that a single red rose from the castle garden in this room, looking out across the estate, just as she did in life. Again, witnesses have reported the gentle scent of roses when her spirit is near. In May 2020, the hotel owner was walking in the grounds when she spotted a figure looking out of the window. At the time, the hotel was closed due to the global pandemic.
Now, for the sake of brevity, I can't actually, show all of that. But make sure you check that out if you want to look into it more, because I got more stuff to show you. And this is actually, the time is going on and on and on. So I need to move on. But anybody ever heard of ever see the Banshee? Never saw it, but I never heard it, thank God. And thanks very much for everyone there. You're getting very active in the chat there. Keep that going. Really appreciate it. Peter Whitson is an absolute star, as always, in the chat. Arizona. We have the Headless Horseman and Banshee stories local to Cork. Stay tuned to Arizona. I've got a couple of places from Cork for you. So don't you worry. Cork is a very haunted county. There's no doubt about it. Resist Control. My mother reckons she heard it, but never seen it. Yeah, actually, they say, I don't know if Resist Control, where you're from, but actually Kerry and Cork, the tradition of the Banshee in Kerry and Cork, they don't see it in Kerry and Cork, but they do see it in other parts of the country. I am thinking the entity of the Banshee can actually, it comes in different forms. So that's what I think, because it's a part of the she, part of the fairy world. So the fairy world isn't rigid. It's a kind of a transforming, malleable thing, like it's not a rigid thing, Anyway, I could go off on track there. That was in Drogheda. Any Mead locations coming up? Mead locations coming up? No, not tonight. But please stay on and check out the rest of them, though, Mickey. I would appreciate it. In Drogheda. Drogheda is a great town. As for myself, I had 1 or 2 encounters with cruise ships. All right. But you're from Leicester. You're welcome here, Resist Control. Welcome here, brother. Okay, let me show you, because I'm just aware of the time here now. This is actually me in Ballyseedy on the set of a music video, which I'm going to show you a little bit of. I can't play the music because it's copyrighted. But this is actually from inside the hotel. So I would have seen a lot of the hotel from behind the scenes as such. And it's a great place for weddings and things like that. So here's a part of the music video. Let me just double check that that's coming up. And I had a part in this. It was shot in 2019. Let me just go ahead here to the Ballyseedy. There's me there, look, in a suit and a pair of trainers. Very professional. Very professional. Here's Ballyseedy, look. It's actually really shot very well. So that's Ballyseedy at the front entrance, and it was kind of like a Victorian time kind of reenactment. And yeah, it's a beautiful place, like it really is. This is me playing a bishop. People were looking at me on the day like it was hilarious. Like I think some people genuinely thought for a second that they were seeing a bishop and were giving me a double take. They were saying this fella's too young. So yeah, it was actually interesting to. And actually in this one is, so you can see they were playing a game of chess, me and one of the lads there. So look, I'm going to move on to the next location unless anyone has any questions. As you can see, Kilmainham Jail is the next one. But if anyone has any comments or thoughts on Ballyseedy, any questions on Ballyseedy House Hotel, make sure you leave them in the comments afterwards, and I will definitely answer you as best as I can. And we're going to move on. This is a very haunted location. This location has a dark history. This location is hugely important in Irish history, a pivotal place in Irish history, and also a very, very peculiar, strange place. And I say that with great sincerity because I have many experiences in there. What opening did you play with the chess game? I would always throw one of my pawns into the. So if I'm starting with the king over on the right, I usually go pawn to center right and then opposite side for that, and then throw out a knight into the. I don't know the is it D4 something like that, something along those lines. I would double up with a knight to protect the pawn. You know yourself. Fionnuala grew up next to Kilmainham jail, so you know all about this. You know all about the chapel, the evil presence in the chapel. You know all about the cold spots, the weird feeling, the poltergeist activity. And I want to say something as well when I'm talking about this stuff. I'm not trying to be exploitative or disrespectful towards what is actually going on in these places or what has happened. Actually, this is to shed light on these places. And actually, I would be doing it from the case of like, one should protect themselves when going into these places. And I mean, just acknowledging and respecting these places. Because once you have an acknowledgement and respect, this is my belief system. This is just my belief system. You can take it or leave it. You can think I'm kooky or talking nonsense. But my belief system is that if you acknowledge, respect, and honor the place, the dead or the entities and all that don't really have anything to do with you. For me, I'm a Catholic. I do believe in Jesus and all that. I go through that process as well. That's just for me now. That's just my view on it. Everyone is welcome to do their own bit, and that's your own business, honestly. This is not a religious channel. It's always going to be a history, mythology, and folklore channel. Sometimes I talk about a bit of politics, sometimes I talk about a bit of religion, but ultimately it's a history, mythology, folklore channel. But just, I'm not going to hide the fact that I do those things because it's a part of my process when I'm going into these places. I always feel very protected, because I do believe like actually people can pick up on these energies and drag them home and things like that. It happens to people, and there's one of the locations, hopefully I get to talk about it tonight, that actually this happened to someone. So Kilmainham jail has a very heavy, it's actually interesting you mentioned that, Fionnuala. It's a heavy feeling inside there. And a lot of people talk about that. They talk about the fact that it just feels weird all the way through it. Lots of sadness. Protecting yourself when going to places that are charged is a wise decision. You're right. There are many ways to protect yourself. That's just the way I do it. Even the acknowledgement and the respect and the honoring of the place is enough, I believe. For me, I like to do the little bit extra because that's just the flavor of things I like to do. I think I brought some strange things home from the night hikes in the burn, full of energy. Do you know, like, it is possible, even just going unbeknownst into places and not knowing that these places are actually haunted. Like, this can happen, Do the tour of Kilmainham Jail, take tons of photos, especially in the dark areas, loads of them onto your computer. Guarantee you'll catch a ghost at you. Many people do that. Actually, loads of people talk about that. They capture loads of stuff. They put up on TripAdvisor and stuff. I would suggest anybody that's going to is coming to Ireland, go to Kilmainham Jail. It's definitely one of the top places to visit in terms of the history and the importance of the place. So people have heard unexplained footsteps being followed, children's voices in the corridors, violent actions, and people refusing to enter. In 1960, the Kilmainham Jail Restoration Committee was formed, and workers immediately encountered paranormal phenomena, right? So, yeah, that by the fire energy is magnetic. Don't drink, but I can sit there for a few hours. I think, yeah, all good, all good. So I just want to double check there. Let me see what the next slide is here. Oh, here's a few snippets. So this is from Haunts from the South, The Haunting of Kilmainham Jail. This is a good one because it gives some good information. The prison is notably linked to several key historical events. Yes, it's not linked. Key historical events happened here, including the execution of the leaders of the 1916 Rising. This is where it happened. It happened in Kilmainham. So they reckon that a lot of the activity started with the restoration of the place. So it obviously uprooted and upset the place. Oh shit, sorry. Yeah, so it was opened in the 18th century and served as a prison until 1924. So soon after, right after the Civil War, it pretty much went into. I think it closed then as a prison. Been used in many films as well. Michael Collins was shot there, the boxer. I shot something there as well, which I'll show you after. Just want to see a few more bits of information here. Why does it keep doing that? I forget that. It keeps skipping ahead. Sorry. So anyway, people have all sorts of situations happen there. For me, I will say this: the whole time I'm in Kilmainham Jail, I feel something like the whole time. I've been there 3 or 4 times, and I don't ever not feel that there's something happened. It's something around me or something. It just has that feeling. But in the place that's in disrepair, the cells, it's just really strange there, like really strange. And executions, the barracks nearby, the soldiers that executed were the leaders mainly for the Sherwood Foresters. I agree, Spiral Massive for myself, rather a neutral feeling, not bad or good. Love to know about any haunts on the Cooley Peninsula near Lilly's, Finnegan's, County Louth. Unfortunately, I can't tonight, Peter, even though I want to be able to facilitate you. If I have a bit of time at the end, I'll try. It's just I have a presentation, so it's going to be a bit difficult. But if I'm doing a part 2, remind me about this, and I will definitely include it in part 2. I promise you that. So the main things that happen, children's voices, this is going back to the famine things as well. So there's a lot of children imprisoned with their families and stuff like that during the time of the famine. I think people were trying to get into prison so they could be fed. So, and then stealing stuff and things like that. Because it was opened in the late 18th century, it would have experienced a time of the famine. Apparently, right from the get-go, the jail was a terrible place, a horrendous place to be put in jail, like tremendously bad. And this is like obviously again compounding the traumatic energy, the dark energy, and this created a kind of a, I reckon, just a cocoon of supernatural forces. Then you have, of course, the executions of the 1916 rebels and all of that. There's a really sad story as well. Joseph Plunkett in the chapel. There's a blue chapel and a red chapel. I think the blue chapel is the Catholic one. There's a red chapel is the Protestant one, if I'm not mistaken. And Joseph Plunkett and his love married Grace. Exactly, that's her name, Grace. They married, and it was only a few hours later he was executed. She never married again. It's just that kind of stuff leaves a mark, like, and it just leaves a mark, you know. And 1 second, I'm just gonna move on to the next one then. So Kilmainham jail, the main things that you would hear about are footsteps, a feeling of an ominous presence, children's voices, disembodied voices. People actually have complained about being pushed. Some people even go as far as saying violently thrown up against the wall. I'm always skeptical of that, to be honest. A push, I'm not so much. Violently thrown up against walls, I'm not saying people are lying, but I'm always a bit more skeptical. Just saying that that's quite severe. I just don't know if it's even possible, but maybe it is. But anyway, a push. And then there is meant to be a very bad presence in the chapel for some reason. I don't know why that is. A lot of people complain about that. For me, as I said already, I've just felt tremendous energy all around it. And actually, when we filmed the trailer, what I'm going to show you now, I was actually in different parts of the place that maybe usually you wouldn't see if you're just a normal guest. And I just felt strange around there because we stayed there till the late in the night, and I actually felt like odd in the place. I felt uneasy, you know. But I was also very grateful for shooting this. We actually shot a trailer for a proposed movie, and there was literally nearly 100 people involved in it. It was a huge moment. That's a seal. Even in Wicklow, Gael children were put in with older men, huge holding cells. Yeah, horrible things back then with families. They tried to get into jails. Yes, this is actually still happening. People trying to get into jail because they're fed actually properly, you see. So liminal spaces like old prisons, factories, mills, and pump houses have amazing energy and something unnatural about them. It's a very good point. This thing about liminal spaces, this space between, you know. So let me add this again, and I want to show you the trailer that I shot there. Let me just get onto this. Let's have a look at this. I'll explain it afterwards. This is in the jail. I'm in this as well.
You weren't up there that night. You didn't see what he did. He's a monster. A beast.
I understand, Mr. Grady, that this man killed one of yours.
Oh no. He killed one of ours, and you're bringing him back.
Listen! I'm only following orders. I didn't make the decision.
Maybe not, but you might regret that.
This is all the jail grounds.
He has a hostage, Chief. The bastard has a hostage. Sweet Jesus.
It's a pretty epic trailer, to be honest. I mean, it's a bit cheap, but still kind of epic. It was over 10 years ago. It was about 12 years ago. That's a cool scene right there. Pretty epic, right? I mean, look, to be honest with you, looking back on that was shot 12 years ago for $2,000, and it was in Kilmainham jail. Not many people get to shoot in Kilmainham jail. Shot where Michael Collins was shot where the boxer was shot. It was an amazing moment. Like, I directed that. It doesn't make sense that much, the trailer. It's a bit all over the place. I didn't write the script, but it was based on a book, The Jailer's Tale, about a person's experiences working as a prison guard. And yeah, well, it wasn't. It didn't evolve into anything else, unfortunately. That's the only video of it. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that ever got made from the book, A Jailer's Tale. But it was a huge moment, like, you know, and actually a little bit of a story that will kind of add to this lore around it. I actually got to visit Mountjoy Prison when I was actually in the process of making this trailer, because I was going to be involved in the production of the actual feature. So I went to visit Mountjoy Prison, which is actually, I keep saying actually, like, you know, I'm catching myself saying these words. It's the one of the main prisons of Ireland. It's certainly one of the main prisons of Dublin, and it is close to where I live now. Mountjoy Prison is a very dark place, and I'm telling you now, the dark energy that I felt in there from the people, from everything in there, it was crazy. I can't actually talk about many of the things I saw because this stream will be demonetized. But who I saw and what I saw in terms of the prisoners was very scary. And I was brought into the place where I'm pretty sure Kevin Barry was executed in Mountjoy. Let me see. Was Kevin Barry? I hope I'm right. I don't like being right about something so tragic, but yeah, Kevin Barry, another Irish hero, was executed in Mountjoy Prison, and I saw the room that they used to unalive people with a rope. Let's just say that, and it was actually, there was one lady, and remember, this is on YouTube. I hope they don't demonetize me. This is a haunted stream, like, so, like, we are talking about like horrific things. I'm trying to, like, you know, navigate that whole world, like, you know what I mean? But there was one lady that was put into this scenario as well for a crime, and she was the last female ever in the prison, you know what I mean? She was in that room, and I was in that room, and I'm telling you right now, darkness in that room. It was just really, really strange to see that. And I was in that prison for a while, and I actually, at one point, I was out in the yard, like, and the lads just kind of turned around and they kind of walked away. And I was in a group, I was in this kind of part of the yard, like, and I had all these guys, and they're all a part of the gangland stuff, like, just looking over at me. And I'm saying to myself, I'm literally in the middle of a prison here with just a couple of guards, like, you know, and they don't even have the proper weapons and all. And it was scary, like, it was the energy in there was vicious, like. But anyway, Kevin Barry was very young. He was one of the youngest to be put through that. A true hero, Kevin Barry. God rest his soul. He was buried in Mountjoy, I'm pretty sure, and he was exhumed and put over to Glasnevin, where he belongs, you know. Okay. God bless, and God bless all involved in these things. Yeah, he refused to betray his comrades. He was a true hero, true Irish revolutionary. God rest his soul. And let's move on. So the next place, Bunratty Castle. Sorry, I should be up here. The next place, one of my favorite places in the entire world, Bunratty Castle. Bunratty Castle is a genuine Irish castle. Whenever you look at castles in Ireland, you always have to be skeptical. You always have to say to yourself, this is of the Norman conquest. But this was a genuine Irish castle, Bunratty Castle. Just to give you a little bit of history on Bunratty Castle. So a Norman first built the defensive forces there, right, which was near enough to a Viking stronghold. That was in the 13th century. Tradree was probably the Viking stronghold because it's on or just off the River Shannon there, in one of the tributaries to the River Shannon. So it was a very, very important point. So these lands were granted to the Clare family, right? And this became a large town of 1,000. But de Clare, son of Thomas, was killed in a battle with the Irish and the Normans. His followers were routed, and the castle and town were completely destroyed. The castle was restored for the King of England, but was laid waste in the 14th century by the Irish chieftains of Thomond under the O'Briens, the descendants of Brian Boru and McNamara's. They kind of had this coalition thing for a while, the O'Briens and the McNamara's with Bunratty. But this would have been contested for over many of the centuries after this. And it would have been like, but essentially, it is an Irish castle, and it is one of the greatest places in Ireland in terms of tourism. It did lay in ruins for 21 years up until this century. It was rebuilt by Sir Thomas Rockaby, but once again attacked by the... Sorry, that was a different guy. That was another benefactor. Sorry. Apologies. It lay in ruins for 21 years in the 14th century and was rebuilt by Sir Thomas Rockaby, but once again attacked by the Irish, and the castle remained in Irish hands thereafter. That's why I'm saying it's the most Irish castle of all of these kind of castles, because when you look at these castles, you think Normans, right? Anglo-Normans, English. But this was a genuine Irish castle. It was won back by the Irish. The lands were reclaimed, and it was kept under Irish hands forevermore after that. Mainly the O'Briens, actually. Mainly the O'Briens. And yeah, so Bunratty Castle. The reason I chose Bunratty Castle is because someone was asking about a banshee earlier on. Bunratty actually has a banshee type entity and a story connected to the banshee. Let me just catch up with the comments here. Eddie O'Brien, oddly enough, I have never made it to Dublin, even though my best mucker is from Tala. I've stuck to Culture land other than spending time with my auntie in Belfast. Well, it's not the best time to visit Dublin now after all those years. I tell you that right now. God, it would have been better to visit here 10 years ago, even though there's still some beautiful parts of Dublin. I still think Dublin gets a bad rep. You know, if you go to Howth there, if you go to, many places in the north side, it's in many places in the south side. There's lots of different places tucked away that are very nice in Dublin. Relations would have to go back and exhume bodies for proper burial. They got thrown into... Okay, so I'm probably entering a conversation here. Shrubbery near... Head up to the shrubbery near Bunratty House, the folk park before dark. Walk around the wall garden. Shrubbery is definitely haunted. Yeah, there's a lot of different... Actually, it's interesting you mentioned that, because there is a story about the field around Bunratty Castle being haunted by Norman knights. So, Bunratty Castle, there's a drowned lady spirit. Now, some people equate this to the banshee entity. Now, I don't know how they equate that, but some people, they kind of say that it is the drowned lady spirit. But because of where the entity appears, which I'll show now in a sec, she appears to one of the ladies there from outside of the window. But the window, of course, was up at a distance, up at a height. The ghost of Juliana de Clare is supposed to haunt the castle as well. Let me just check something here. Oh yeah, just 1 second there, people. So all good. So Juliana de Clare is supposed to haunt the castle as well. Yeah, because she persuaded her husband to murder Brian Rua O'Brien, King of Thomond. Right, I'll get onto this now in a sec, but let me just read out this quote here. There is a haunted field near the castle, and when night falls, no one will cross it. A Norman knight with sword in hand walks the field, and death awaits the intruders. Isn't that a cool story? Like, imagine that. Like, imagine arriving into the field drunk, and apparently that's what happened to the drunken fella. He went into the field, and he was found dead in the morning. The O'Carroll, there's an elemental spirit there. Is this in Leap Castle? Okay, that's probably Leap Castle. Let's see. Let's get on to the next slide here for Bunratty Castle. Now, the reason I picked Bunratty Castle as well, the reason I picked Bunratty Castle is because I have a huge affinity with the place. I spent many times, many occasions there as a child. I have many fond memories of the place, and actually, I was there with my partner just this year as well for the banquet, which I'm going to show you the pictures there. And we spent the day there as well. It's just a wonderful tourist attraction, just beautiful. Love it. And I love the reenactments, and I just love all the if people have a chance to go to the banquet, I tell you one thing, it was exquisite. It was an amazing, well worth the money, exceptional. It was just really good, a great night. And I've always felt, now this time I didn't feel it that much, but when I was a kid and I was in there, I felt tremendous energies there. Like I was really getting shivers up my spine all around the place. And apparently this happens a lot by the dungeon. And just for me, it's just every room has a little bit of a story to it, like, you know. But Bunratty is a beautiful place, but it is certainly a place I wouldn't like to spend the night in. There's no doubt about it. In Bunratty, they uncovered a tomb years ago, and the body was as if it didn't decay within minutes. It faded to dust and closed up. That is unbelievable, Spyro Moss. That is class. Oh, now I understand why I couldn't make Bunratty Castle when I visited. We were a little late in schedule and it was getting dark. Now I get it. Exactly. It was getting dark. And if you arrive in that field of the darkness, the Norman night will take you out. So anyway, let me just move on. I want to show you a little bit more about Bunratty Castle. So this is my partner there in one of the rooms. So in 1642, Lady Fanshawe was staying at Bunratty Castle as a guest of the O'Briens. During the night, she woke from her sleep to see the figure of a pale woman with red hair standing outside the castle window in the moonlight. Then she realized the woman was floating at the same level as her upper story window above the river. Lady Fanshawe remained in her bed as the spirit moaned in agonizing despair. The following day, she learned that a member of the family had died in the night, and it was the Bunratty Banshee that she had seen, who appeared as a harbinger of doom. The Banshee is said to be the tormented soul of a drowned servant girl. And I have actual footage of that Banshee. Let's have a look. Just in case you missed it. That's pretty goddamn cool. People say that the AI is terrible. I think AI is pretty cool. What did you think of that? I might know, yeah, it's mad, isn't it? It's pretty goddamn cool. Like, I mean, that looks like Bunratty, like. Very pretty, yeah, very pretty Banshee. Okay, there's another story that I wanted. This is actually a picture of the castle as well. This is inside the castle. Look at that. It's wonderful. And this is, oh no, sorry, I've moved on. Oh, you saw, oh my God, I just gave away a spoiler alert. There's actually another story which I will share. I'm going to share this with you. Ducas.ie. So this is actually an unbelievable website because this is all the old folklore that was written down by the school children back in the day. And this is beautiful because look at the handwriting. So this is the story about Bunratty Castle, right? Look at the handwriting there. Just wonderful. So Bunratty Castle figures in the history of Thomond from the coming of the Danes to the Anglo-Irish War, and its story has been written by many historians. The ghost of Juliana de Clare is supposed to haunt the castle. Okay, it's a bit weird here, but it says it was who persuaded her husband to murder Brian Rua O'Brien, King of Thomond. Her son Richard captured de Burgo of Connacht after the latter had made an unsuccessful attack upon the stronghold. One moonlit night, de Burgo, looking from his dungeon window, saw 6 Normans carrying a coffin through the courtyard. They laid the coffin down in the center of the courtyard and took off the lid. De Burgo saw a headless corpse, the body of the murdered Brian Rua O'Brien. Looking back in horror, he saw the figure of the dead Juliana, which was his mother, I think it was, by beckoning him to follow her. She told him that Richard, her son, had planned for him the death that his father had mealed out to Brian. The ghost led him in safety through the sleeping guards, and he made his way back to Connacht, a man who would not believe that Bunratty was haunted. Oh yeah, so that just continues on into another story, which we don't have time for tonight. But it's definitely a haunted place. Bunratty's got a huge amount of history, and it's definitely worth a visit, as I said. Do you want to see that little AI clip again? If you want to see it again, get the thumbs up. I'll give you one last look, and then we can move on. Or will I keep going? Yeah, Bunratty do Christmas banquets. They're doing a Halloween event now. Okay, we'll show it one last time and then we'll move on. Get ready for this. It's coming on now. Ah, it actually looks like Bunratty. That is crazy. Anyway, let's move. Oh no, you didn't see it. Oh shit, 1 second. Sorry, 1 sec. Here we go. It's here now. Sorry about that. I'm getting used to this whole stream here thing. Here it is. There you go. Okay, let's move on. All right, the next one is we're getting on to the nuts and bolts of it now. The Hellfire Club. Sorry, here's a little bit of a formatting issue here. The Hellfire Club, County Dublin, Montpellier Hill, and that is me there up at the place. Now, I'm going to be really honest with you. We did not enter the building. I refuse to go in this building. I think it's a very demonic place. I'm sorry to say. I know some people don't believe in that stuff. I think it's a very bad place. People get pissed off at me for saying this because they've spent all their time in the Hellfire Club and they bring their kids and they've never had anything happen to them. And why? But like, yeah, that's you. That's you living your life. But I'm not going in there because I know the history. I know what happened there. Some people just don't respect this kind of stuff. They just don't have any respect. I have respect for the thousands of years old monuments that were desecrated there to build this. They destroyed these thick people of the time, the type of English of the time, the type of aristocratic folk of the time that were sick and depraved, ripped ancient cairns and a standing stone out and built this monstrosity there and used that to, it's like going to an ancient Indian burial ground and ripping all the gravestones out. You know, we know that movie, The Poltergeist. Like, this is the same scenario. And actually, weirdly enough, when we were up there, up in the Hellfire Club, you could hear kids playing in the building, and there was kids going insane, like screaming, just going. We were like listening to them. It's like, what is going on? Like, why are they screaming like that? Like, and I just think there's an energy in there. It's, you know, I don't get it. And I have a weird story about the place, right? There was a girl that worked in the bank that I worked in before, right? I work in the security industry as well, and I worked in a bank one time, right? So it was an office, right? And the person was working in the canteen, and they said they visited there with their kid, right? And I said, like, this was a good few years back now, and I said, like, you brought your kid up there, and they were like, and then I kind of realized, yeah, actually loads of people bring their kids up there. It's like it's a popular hill walk, like. And this person didn't believe in the ghost or anything like that. They were from Poland, and they went, and that was it. They went up, they visited the place, and they went back down, right? That night, the person had 3 scratches on their torso. 3 scratches, 3 big scratches on their torso, and they have no idea how it happened. And I was like, well, it was most likely some sort of demon or something like that, like, or some sort of entity that did that. Because how nothing scratched her the entire day. She didn't scratch herself off anything. So how did this happen? But if you study the supernatural and these research the cases, the Catholic exorcism cases and things like that, or if you look at documentaries about the supernatural and all of these things, there's a lot of the time they scratch the body and they scratch in trees. It's a mocking of the Trinity, right? Or for whatever reason you want to believe. Like, I know everybody's not into the Catholicism and stuff, but that's my belief, and that's what I know is true. But everybody's it's open to interpretation if you want to interpret it different ways. But anyway, that's why I didn't go in the building. I wouldn't have gone in there anyway. But it's not a good place. It's not a good place, you know. So then there is this other thing about like rituals happening up there from the aristocratics, where they were doing all sorts of torture and stuff on animals and stuff like that. And apparently, this coincides with the cat of Killikee, which haunts the place. This is actually another building, which I'm going to talk about now in a second as well. The devil. These stories I'm not really a huge fan of. The devil appearing for card games, because this story does the rounds. It's in Loftus Hall, I'm pretty sure, as well. And actually, there's actually a devil at a card game story in Tralee as well. They're everywhere around Ireland. So I'm not a huge. I don't really like the card game story, but it is apparently something that happened in the Hellfire Club. The devil appeared because what they used to do was the Hellfire Club were an aristocratic club, and they were do without wilt. They were basically Satan worshippers on light mode, like, you know what I mean? And they were I'm going to get into the history now in a sec, but the whole area is meant to be haunted as well, right, including Killikee. So another story about the club concerns a young boy. Okay, I'll get into this in a sec. Let's just have a look at the video. I want to show you. There's a video about this, right? Can't hear. 1 second. What about anybody else? Has anybody else have that problem? Because there's been a video is playing. So could people hear the video? Can people hear the video? Could they hear the video about the Hellfire Club there? What? Are you serious? Oh, for God's sake. Are you serious? 1 second. Fuck's sake. There's always an issue, isn't there? Oh,
have to be overcome.
I know
you
why.
See,
Sorry.
on the summit of Mount Pellier Hill.
I'm sorry. I'll go back. Do you know what it was? Sorry about that, people. Sorry. I'm going to go back. I actually muted the sound there by myself for the last one. So I apologize. I'll go back. This is a really good video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share a little bit from this, and then that will give you a good history. It's Intrigue Academy, the insane story behind Dublin's Hellfire Club. Really good video on it. Give that person a support. Now I'm going to share it for you, okay? Let me just go back a little bit. This will give you a brief history,
in
okay?
1723, fortune to purchase the Thousand Club begin with William Connolly, an extremely wealthy lawyer, landowner and politician from Donegal. Born in 1662, Connolly amassed his vast wealth from land transfers throughout his lifetime and used this immense fortune to purchase thousands of acres of land, whilst also commissioning numerous large-scale building projects. One of Connolly's many land purchases included Mount Pellier Hill, which he purchased from the debt-ridden first Duke of Wharton in 1723. But we'll get back to this Duke later. Connolly subsequently commissioned the construction of a small hunting lodge at the summit of the hill in 1724, and it was to be designed in the Palladian architectural style, which was extremely popular at the time.
Is there still no sound?
Mysteriously, however, no one knows who actually designed the lodge in the first place, as no record of the architect's identity is known to exist. Before construction of Connolly's lodge could commence, however, an otherworldly obstacle would have to be overcome. You see, on the summit of Mount Pellier Hill, near the proposed construction site, there already lay the ruins of an ancient Neolithic passage grave, possibly dating back over 5,000 years. This burial mound was also topped by a stone
Perfect.
cairn, which was then disrespectfully removed.
Eddie was giving me a
before
heart attack
construction
there.
began.
Look at this,
But in
look at
a
this.
further slight to the dead, buried there, the workers were also instructed to incorporate stones from the removed cairn in the construction of the lodge's new fireplace. This led many amongst the locals to believe that the building was now tainted or cursed, haunted by the spirits of the dead right from the
Shocking.
very beginning. And these beliefs were soon borne out, as on the exact same night that the lodge's construction was complete, a heavy thunderstorm suddenly formed as if out of nowhere, blowing the lodge's newly built slate roof right off the mountain in a freak weather event. Many superstitious locals soon began theorising that it was in fact the devil that had caused the roof to be blown off as revenge for the desecration of the ancient tomb there. Connolly was unmoved by these supposed supernatural events, and immediately ordered a new roof made from stone to be constructed on top of the lodge.
Now, people, I'm not going to ruin that guy's work. Get onto his channel, check it out, because it's a great video, as you can see. But just, I wanted to give you that brief history to let you know that's the reason I don't go in there, is because the guy was a complete animal, and he was totally against the church at the time, totally against the Irish, their belief systems. He was a total animal of a person, and he just ripped all this stuff out of the ground and built it. It's disgusting. It was just, nobody in their right mind does anything like that. So anyway, the next part I want to show you.
Just days ago, we traveled to.
Oh no! Before I get on to that, I want to. Okay, but then the Hellfire Club, right? There's been many paranormal investigations, and actually one John Connors did as well. He had a little show that he did. There's many paranormal investigators that did investigations in the Hellfire Club. All of them, bar a few, got evidence of stuff happening there. And people freaking out, like really going insanely crazy, right? So for me, the Hellfire Club represents something very demonic and evil. It is a supernatural place. It's not just the building, it's actually the whole area. The area itself is connected to mythology. It's connected right back to the Fianna. It's connected right back to one of the old high kings as well. And also, because of the fact that these ancient sites were there, this was a prominent ancient site. So this was a very important place that's been desecrated and destroyed by these animals. And people, you see, are like NPCs. Like, they're just going around, walking around the place, having absolutely zero idea about the ground that they're on. Like, they have no clue about what they're doing, where they've come from, what the history is. They say they understand it, but they obviously have no respect for it, because it's like saying to yourself, it's like walking into a building where you've known there's been, all sorts of stuff that have taken place, and just saying, sure, look, it's fine. Like, who gives a shit? Who cares? Of course it matters. It matters that these things have taken place here, because it's not good. Like, to bring kids up there and stuff like that, I'm sorry, but I'm totally against it. Like, 100%. I think it's very dangerous stuff. And I know people hate when I say that, but I don't care. Like, that's what I believe. I just, look, it's your right to do whatever you want with your family and stuff like that. It's your right. Like, do whatever you want. But I'm just saying, it's not going to happen with my family. I'll be very protective of where they go and stuff like that, and what they're getting involved in. Like, for instance, if I would not like the idea of me being up there as a child, and you see, the problem is that it's not just this building, it's actually the whole place, because there's another place down at the end of the hill called Killikee House, and this has got a demonic black cat haunting it. And I'm going to show you another little video from a guy called Ben Ritchie. And this was the steward's house that was actually a part of the Hellfire Club. This is where they kind of stayed as well. And this place is totally haunted as well, apparently. It used to be a restaurant, but it's closed down. There's a whole story about Lord Massey as well. He had another house called Killikee. which not to be confused with this current Killikee house. But all of it's got very weird vibes. The whole thing, the whole place has, you know. So let me get on to Ben's video. Yeah, it's weird. It's oh no, or maybe you're talking about something else. Sorry. You're having your own conversation there, which is amazing. So look, this is the next one. This is the next video about this is about Killikee. This is all, and I have a map there, right? You can see that I have the map where the red circle in the middle is the Hellfire Club and the other one's Killikee. You can see how close it is. This is a hill, Montpelier Hill. This whole area is weird. In fact, actually, the whole of Dublin Mountains are strange because there's a lot of weird shit that's happened in Dublin Mountains. And people from Dublin will tell you about that. Like, so we're going to power ahead. Yeah, like it's not good. Like the amount of people that have gone up there and investigated the place, it's not a good place to bring kids. So let's have a look. This is Killikee House. So big shout out to Ben Ritchie.
Just days ago, we travelled to the beautiful Killikee in Rathfarnham to visit the infamous Killikee House. Located at the bottom of Montpelier Hill, there are 3 areas of interest. The house itself, the notorious Hellfire Club at the top of the hill, and the eerie Massey Woods that surrounds this house. All 3 areas being steeped in dark histories spanning back centuries, we decided to go down and visit the area for ourselves. I came face to face with the one and only Black Cat of Killikee. As somebody with a curiosity for the unexplained, and also being a self-confessed cat enthusiast, it makes sense that this story stands out to me. We are not experienced paranormal investigators. We visited the site and we carried out a basic set of tests to see if there was any interaction between the painting and ourselves. Amazingly, when we were reviewing our footage, it was after the investigation, when I was taking a picture of myself with the famous painting, that we noticed something in the background in the mirror. The door that you see leads out into the hall and there was nobody there. We can debunk this as being an object outside of the door because it doesn't appear in any of the other photos which were taken in quick succession. So that begs the question, just who or what is this standing in the doorway as we are with the haunted painting?
Actually, you know, Ben got in touch with me when I did a TikTok live stream a few years back doing Halloween stuff. But this is a much better stream that I'm doing now because it's structured. But this was just a general chit chat on TikTok, which I don't do anymore, to be honest. But I much prefer being on here with you guys and gals. And so yeah, that's a weird capture by Ben there. Like, and look, people can say it's just faked or whatever, but look, would Ben put himself to that trouble and put himself out on YouTube to make him look silly? Like, I think it's something, you know. But the Black Cat of Killikee, so it's very strange, weird, and that painting is very odd. Further down the hill along the military road is this 2-story house known as the Stewart's House, or as Killikee House, not to be confused with the now demolished Killikee House that served as a residence of the Massey family who owned the adjacent Killikee estate. It was built around 1765 by the Connolly family as a hunting lodge. So I'm pretty sure that this was a hunting lodge as well. So let me see. Oh no, this is Charles Fort. Okay.
Just days ago, we traveled to the beautiful.
So the Hellfire Club. I'm going to finish up on the Hellfire Club because Tá fáilte wrote, Peter, my friend. Thank you for your kind contribution. Niall Thomas, please do watch it tomorrow. I think you'll enjoy it because it is a presentation. Even if you haven't heard the chat like and stuff, please come back tomorrow. Leave a comment. If anyone is actually on here tonight, I'm going to finish up in about 15 to 20 minutes. So please stick with me. But just to give a few announcements, let me know in the comments after the live stream is up what you thought of the live stream, or if you wanted to add anything, because I will read those comments as well. Just to give a little bit of advertising as well, if anybody wants to throw in a super chat or a donation or anything like that, you can find the donation links in the descriptions. If you want to join as a YouTube member, this really helps. Super chat is amazing. If not, there's no problem. Stick with me till the end. I'll always do this anyway, even if you can't do any of those things. Another way to make sure you never miss a premiere, because sometimes YouTube doesn't let people know is you can join my mailing list, which is actually in the video description, which you'll see afterwards, right? You can just join that. I always send an email out beforehand so that you make sure that you don't miss this. And also my book, The Forgotten Prince, is available on Amazon if anyone hasn't bought it yet. So let's get on. Let's move into the last two and we will wrap it up there. Massey Woods, very popular. And the other thing is as well, Massey Woods is meant to be a little bit weird as well, a weird vibe, because there's a hugely strange history to the whole place. When the guy got thrown out of the house that used to be there, the IRA members moved in. There's a lot of all weird stuff that happened there. So yeah, it's definitely for another day. So let me just get on to the last two. So Charles Fort in County Cork. Anybody from Cork still in the comments? Let me know. So Charles Fort, right? I've visited Charles Fort and I have went inside there, and I also had a very strange experience in there in terms of energy. Like the last two are very similar actually, and I felt a bit strange in there the entire time that I was in there. And there is a very famous story about the lady in white, the White Lady of Kinsale haunting the battlements. There's also stories of phantom soldiers still marching in step, and also children being, this is weird, right? Children being watched while asleep, right? And then apparently there was an offing of a person by a robed entity. Now that one's a bit far fetched, but who knows? So just to give you a little bit of history on Charles Fort. Charles Fort is a trace Italian fortification, a bastion fort, with one section of the outer wall built in a star fashion. In of itself, the design, I believe, gives a bit of energy to it. It was first completed in the 17th century, right? These were all created because there was one second. I'll keep reading here. Charles Fort was built on the site of the ruins of an earlier stronghold known as Barry Old Castle, and the new fort, which is named after Charles II. Oh God, they should change that name. Was designed by all these fucking English aristocrats, basically. And then Irishmen went in there and built it, like, you know. The fort was built between the 1677 and 1682, one of those star fortifications. This is a load of all nonsense, this thing here, isn't it? There's actually not much information there, to be honest. But anyway, witnesses have spotted a ghostly woman in a red wedding dress wreaking havoc around the fortress. Soldiers have seen her walking through walls, and parents stationed at the fort have witnessed her watching their children as they slept, which I think is very bizarre, to be honest. You don't want that kind of carry on happening, like. So here we go. Here's a nice little video. The French, yeah. Yeah, it's wonderful, isn't it? I'm just going to mute that just in case the music is monetized. Sorry about that now. Beautiful video though, isn't it? It's like a tragic love story that created this entity. God, this is actually a really stunning video, actually, because it's an old one. Credit to TV Kerry, Charles Fort Ghost Story, Kinsale. And I was there, like I just don't have the pictures. It's a long time ago. Oh, bless you, Dal Cecile. Bless you, bless you. While on Century Duty, yeah. God, look at that. Very tragic, tragic love story. The white lady is still looking for her love, basically. Yeah. Learning of the death of her husband, the grief-stricken Wilfred jumped to their death from the battlements. Yeah. And then the father shot himself. Yeah. Yeah. Tragic stuff. Like real, real tragic. Thanks, Mark. Awesome encounters. This sound will be one to remember. Absolutely, my brother. Look at this fortification. Look at m- the monstrous size of it. Charles Fort is haunted by the ghost of the White Lady. Blessings to that creator. Look at that. It's a beautiful place, Bantry Bay. Alright, there you go. Yeah, shout out to TV Kerry there. Like, what a lovely video that was. I mean, come on, that's really, really nice. But look, I don't have huge amount to say on Charles Fort, and I'm coming up to the end of my time. Got one more to talk about as well. Uh, Eddie O'Brien says, Bertie, I'm very much enjoying my time here today. Well, Gora Mila Mahagot for that lovely comment, and Tá wrote also. You know, um, yeah, Bantry Bay. I'm pretty sure it's Bantry Bay. Thank you so much, Eddie. I really appreciate it. I'm glad the stream has gone well. It looks like it's a bit more popular tonight than it was last week. So this is definitely the way to go. Charles Fort, I'll give you a little bit of a oh, my camera is dying. Are you serious? Oh my god. No. How is that even possible? 1 second. How is that possible? Oh, I'm having gremlins. Okay, I need to start making a I need to wrap this up because it's getting a bit crazy here with technology. But the Charles Fort thing, I had this interesting experience when I went there because I was wearing like I was there with an old friend years ago, 10 years ago, and I was wearing this green shirt, like I got like in pennies or something, and I had this kind of like logo on it. And then it's a military fortification, so you have the military there, and there's like military presentations and stuff like that. And one of them was looking at my shirt, and I think it's because I had a top on. He actually thought I was in the military. Like that's the real impression I got because he started getting very he was standing up straight. He was like, "This way, sir," and he was kind of showing me around because I was asking questions and really into history. Like I'm curious. So he started really getting in because I remember he kept looking to see this, but it was actually just like a fake kind of shirt, like an American shirt or something like that, you know, like something from Penny's. It was so funny. And then we went and saw the gun, the huge, massive cannon gun that they never used. It was like the biggest gun I've ever seen, and they never used it. And they had this whole regiment to it, like, and it was all built for the Spanish and the French, you know, the British protecting them, protecting those bays, because those bays are huge natural harbors. But the whole time I was in there, I felt strange the whole time, especially when down in the tunnels and stuff like that. It was just a strange vibe. And they talked about the white lady. And, you know, but I don't really have much else to say in Charles Fort. I feel like the whole area is kind of haunted. Because I remember arriving there thinking this place is kind of spooky or something. I don't know. There's something about that area that I just found spooky. So anyway, Spiral Moss, are you saying for me to contact Pat Noon or someone else? Oh no, that's for Fanula. Oh yeah, do. I'm actually like getting involved in people's conversations. I'm so rude. So here we go. The last place. This is the last one. Spike Island in Cove in County Cork. Remember what I said at the beginning. These aren't the most haunted places in Ireland, but these are of the realm of the most haunted places in Ireland. They're definitely in the top 20, 30, the ones I've been to that I've had experiences on or in. This is one place that has a dark energy. This has a very strong energy. And I was with the same person that time, and they had they actually had an attack, which I'll get into soon. Oh my God. I have something weird happening in the presentation here. I actually didn't oh my God. I didn't update the stuff there. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, I'll have to go to 1 second. My battery's gone. Just stay with me for a second. I might have to end this in a sec. Just hold with me there for 1 second. My battery's exhausted there, so just hold on a second. I'm going to wrap this up then, I think, because it's obviously I'm a bit surprised that happened now, to be honest, because it's plugged in and all. Let's see. Okay, you can see me there now. That's just very low quality though compared to what I had, but at least I got most of the stream out of it. So anyway, people, I'm going to wrap this up soon. So Spike Island, I apologize. The last bit of the presentation, they're being mean to me. The last bit of the presentation, I didn't actually include I obviously didn't put my little notes for Spike Island, but I definitely have enough on Spike Island that I can talk about. So I will do that. So what I'll do is I'll just go on to the last page there, because there's an actual picture of a ghost on the left. The one on the right is the fabrication, but the one on the left is actually meant to be a real ghost. So what I might do is I might remove the camera and put this up on full screen. Yeah, so in and how can I make that full screen? Okay, here we go. Yeah, there we go. So I don't need the camera now for anymore, but you can hear me, yeah? So this is the last one, Spike Island. I apologize for the presentation at the end, but Spike Island is a very haunted place. Many investigations have taken place there, and it is a place that I felt a huge presence on there. And I've always wanted to visit the Spike Island, and I got an opportunity about 10 years ago. Apologies that I don't have photos, but I definitely was on that island We saw these places with the beds and everything. The one on the left is Louise Bunyan, is a woman behind a spooky snap taken on Sunday the 28th. It was in 2018, I believe, in October, in the abandoned jail section of the prison, a block which was held as prisoners in the 1840s, 1920s, and 1990s. Yeah, you can see the ghost. You can see the ghost. And actually, I know someone that was actually held as a prisoner there, believe it or not, actually in the 1990s. And they said it was a horrendous place. So, yeah, there was actually a small community on there for ages. Yeah. And actually, in the 1930s, the British handed it over to the Irish. Eamon de Valera was pivotal in that. Let me just give you a little bit of history in Spike Island. Spike Island, Cork, is an unparalleled repository of Irish history. Nowhere else on Irish soil and very few sites globally can claim the same depth and breadth of historical endeavour. I'm reading from John Crotter, author. It's got a very nice site here. Actually, I might actually share this instead. And I'll add this to the stage. Yeah, there we go. You can see it. I'm reading from here. It's a nice little article on it. Fewer sites still are fortunate enough to have that history still intact, tangible in the form of Victorian era prison cells, epic 18th century military fortifications, and century-old social housing. Yet there is a darker side to the history of the island that is not shared with day visitors. Only those who have braved the island on one of its after dark tours will know this past. It is a history of vicious murders, mass graves, paranormal sightings, and ghostlies going on. Since the island opened to the public in 2016, after its final prisons left in 2004, dozens of sightings have been reported. Some have been photographed, and you can see those photographs in this article. Let's go down. Look at that weird stuff. So there's a view of the island from above. Another star fortification. This is one of the museum parts. Let's have a look at this video here.
County Cork, Ireland, and another location that's steeped in misery. But just a mile offshore from these colorful streets, enduring as the sea, the Spike Island, a place known for darkness and despair. A military fort was constructed here in 1779. While under British rule during the Great Famine of the 1840s, the fort was converted into a prison, the largest in the world. Prisoners who misbehaved were sent here, to the punishment block. Inside, inmates were isolated, chained to the walls, and fed nothing but bread and milk. The ghosts of criminals are said to haunt this compound, resurrecting grim memories of a place dubbed Ireland's Hell. After spending more than his fair share of time exploring Spike Island, John Goulding is no stranger to the spirits here.
Spike Island is one of the most haunted places in all of Ireland. I
Wow.
personally felt the presence of spirits here at least half a dozen times.
Paranormal investigators that have swept this place for activity report that one of the most spirited spirits is Thomas Mars. In 1866, when Mars was a prisoner in the punishment block, he used his own manacles to hang himself.
This is Thomas Morris's actual cell where he took his own life. I've been alone in this building several times and I've heard chains drag. Figure, the black entity which we believe to be Seamus Walsh. St. Patrick White.
And legend has it that Captain White, or at least his ghost, has been making the rounds here at Spike Island. A mystic British guard named Private Whitehead decides to make the Irishman's life as difficult as possible. One June morning,
All right, so I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon now. I'm just going to add this to the stage. Here's me up in Hellfire Club. So look, just the one last thing I want to say about Spike Island before I go is that when we were on the island, I had this weird experience. There was two experiences that happened. Was I was going onto the GAA fields there, and I just got this sudden burst of energy out of nowhere, like a kind of like a weird. I can't describe it. It was going around the island, and Next thing out of nowhere, I just felt like running onto the field and reenacting like playing football. And I just went mental. Like for some reason, I just don't know what it was. It was like a weird, I was like, he's playing for Cork, he's playing for Kerry. And I started doing this thing. I never usually do it. And then I was like pretending I was scoring a point. And then there was a hospital. The old hospital was there across the way at the field. And when we went over there with a friend, and the person said they felt like when we walked around. Now I was petrified of this place because I had seen in the investigations that this place was the worst part of the island. Now I know in the video there they were saying about the actual prison, but this is where it happened to me. And we went around the hospital, and it was just like something from a horror film. Like it was all overgrown, it was dark inside, you couldn't see inside. So I was just like, oh my god. We went around the back, and the person started complaining about having a pain in their throat, right? And next thing, all of a sudden, they started freaking out and said, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. And I was like, okay, let's go. And then they just described being choked. Like they were like a hand was choking them now. That person, I don't believe, was lying. I don't think they were making it up. I think it was an actual real event, and we got out of there, and it was just strange, just weird. And this was just right before, after the GAA kind of thing. I don't even know what happened. It was weird. It was so strange. I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. And that's kind of everything. Now my camera's after dying on me, so my last little slide didn't work there. So look, I think I'm gonna end it tonight there because I don't have any more locations, but we've been going for an hour and 52 minutes, and you've been an absolute wonderful crowd, and it's been so enjoyable to do this, and I really appreciate the support. And as I said before, if you want to help, you can find ways to do that in the video description. But one thing you can do after this is, leave a comment and share it with someone you might think might enjoy this. And if you get a chance, maybe listen back on it later on or something like that. Are you? Finula said, I'm in bits now, freaked out. Oh my god, I'm so sorry about that. And I'm sorry I'm kind of like ending abruptly, but I feel a bit weird about my camera. Do you know? I feel really weird without my camera, and I'm a bit disappointed that died like that. But I can always change I can have a battery spare next time just in case that happens. But thanks, Bertie. Enjoy the stream. Thank you. In Tafalcha Road to Cara. The Ennis Asylum. Fanula, you're an absolute star for the super sticker there at the end. €5. Thank you so much, Fanula. Always a very supportive person in the chat and on the other streams. Fanula, thank you so much. Really, these things do actually really help a lot. You'd be surprised. So people can find other ways as well in the description afterwards, but there's no pressure ever to do anything. But if you can, it will be most appreciated. But look, the Ennis Asylum is a huge, massive building. Yeah, there's actually I was going to do another one called the Old Ladies. I think it's the Old Ladies Cork Mental Asylum. That's converted into apartments, and it would literally be the last place I'd ever want to live. But I knew I wouldn't have time. But that's definitely got some stories as well. There's also the Clarny Mental Hospital as well. Mental hospitals are dark places because a lot of old weird stuff has happened down through the years. There's one up in Portrane as well, Donabate. I think Spiral Moss, absolute superstar. And again, Todd Broner for the beginning with the stupidity from me from reading your comment wrong. Thank you so much for the €5 donation there. I really appreciate it. Well done, Bertie. Nice chatting with you all. Nice chatting with you, Spiral Moss. You're an absolute superstar. Thank you so much, people, for the support there at the end. Makes it all worthwhile. And I have another one planned. I definitely have 1 to 2 more planned. Would you be interested? You see, the thing is, talking about haunted locations, I feel like I have to go visit these places first. Now, I am going visiting Malahide tomorrow, Malahide Castle. So maybe, would you want another haunted places live stream again, like a part 2? Or I do have other topics like the fairies, the She, the Morrigan. I do have a couple of other topics as well. Spiral masses, sound as a bell. Yeah, yeah. Oh my god, I don't know what happened to me there. Yeah, I don't know what happened at the beginning. I think I'm so used to trolls and stuff like that, you know. Um, but what are you thinking? Do you want to kind of do you want to just give me a kind of an idea what you want next time? Anything supernatural, basically, like Halloween live stream from a fairy fort. God, I don't know. Um, I mean, I could do a live stream on fairy forts, though. That could be an interesting one. Uh, but I don't know about going to a fairy fort, though. I don't know if I have. I think I could be, for me now to do, like, I'd make videos, but the thing is, I probably wouldn't go into the fairy fort and do a live stream from there. I probably would. I feel a bit uncomfortable, doing that. Spiral Moss, I will certainly have a coffee and a sausage roll on you, and I will remember that. So look, Goramila Mahagwiv, Galera Makarja. Thank you so much, everyone. You've been absolute legends, and you've kept the conversation going there, and I really appreciate that a lot. All right. So we'll leave it there tonight, and I'll be back again soon in the next 7 to 10 days with another live stream. Maybe one more before Halloween. We'll see. Maybe if I'm off on Halloween night, we might do some sort of live stream. We'll see. Slán Macarja, Bay made a kind. We will be talking soon. And Ihawa to you all. Ihawa Gakdina. Good night, everyone. God bless you all. You're absolute superstars. You're always being supportive. There's a few of you in there that are coming continuously and are always showing support, and I really appreciate it a lot. And for any of the new people that I don't really know, make sure you come back again next time. And yes, Fanula said a very good thing there. Protect yourselves always. Intention, reverence, not reverence, recognition, acknowledgement, and respect for these sites. That's what I think. God bless you all. God bless you all. Take care. Good night.